Charlotte. It's so wonderful to have you on our Hustle and Heart podcast today. Let me just quickly introduce you, but then I want to dive in and hear all about who you are and what you're doing and hear all about this amazing business that you're running. You are the founder of the Village Hive. Mm-hmm. And when I spoke with you just briefly, I was kind of taken with your story because I kind of related to some aspects of that story in terms of being in a corporate environment that is just soul crushing. And life-changing. It's not a good place to be. And thankfully, you came out of that situation. But, I want to hear your take on, tell our audience who you are and what you're doing right now. And I want to kind of go back and trace your journey because our podcast is all about storytelling for the business owner, and we want other business owners to be inspired by other business owner stories.
Absolutely. That's how I'm inspired by other people all the time.
Perfect. Yeah. So take it away. What do you do now and what happened before?
Yeah. So now I am the owner-founder of the Village Hive, as you said. It's a co-working space in Markham. We actually have 3 locations. I started in Markham, North York, and Yonge and Eglinton. And it came about, I guess, like you said, in the corporate messy world, I was not enjoying. And ever since I was a kid, since I was a teenager, I got my first job. I've always looked for jobs that I love to go to, and I've been very lucky. Like one of my first jobs was actually working in the kitchen at my parents' restaurant, which was not so fun. I didn't enjoy that. So then I knew I don't want to have a job that I don't enjoy doing, because we spend, when we're finished our schooling and all that, and we're in the real adult life world, we spend so much of our time in our jobs at work. Typically most people, it's Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. That's a big chunk of your week. So from a young age, I always thought I want to have jobs that I enjoy going to. So one of my first jobs, I think when I was in grade 10, was at Records on Wheels in Aurelia Square Mall. That's where I was going to high school. And I mean, working at a record store was great. I got to open up the albums I wanted, play the music I wanted. And so it was a lot of fun. And ever since then, I've always had jobs that I loved. I've worked on the Trent Severn Waterway, at a lock, at the locks, helping boats in and out of the locks. I've worked for Parks and Recreation at a campground with a bunch of university students, and always, as I said, enjoyed what I was doing. Went to university, and right after university, I was really lucky. I got a job as a behavior counselor, so a real job right out of university. But it was very stressful, and I didn't feel I was really trained for the job. That wasn't what my degree was in. I just happened to have a degree, so I got a job. But it was a very great experience. I was helping adults with developmental disabilities, and it was very rewarding. But I was very young to be in such a role and have such a responsibility. And just moving on from there, I went to Korea. I taught English as a second language in Korea and enjoyed that very much. I was there for 10 months and it was supposed to be a year. I got deported.
Oh, no. I'm sure there's a story in that.
There's a story there. But so I've always been adventurous and always looking for jobs that I liked. And then I ended up working in healthcare for a number of years for the Ministry of Health and for an agency of the Ministry of Health. And I enjoyed that very much. But I went on mat leave and came back. I was allowed to work from home for a little while once I came back from mat leave, which was great because I had to commute downtown, and nobody likes commuting downtown. However, working from home, I felt very lonely. Like, you're excited to get off mat leave in one way, not to leave your kids, but just to get back into seeing people every day and not, just being a mom all day. And so that was my first kind of time. I'm like, I don't really like working from home. And then fast forward, I continued working for the government, but was getting a little bit bored in my role and wanted something a little bit more. But in order to do that, I would have had to commute back downtown. So I got what I thought was going to be the most amazing job, part-time director of medical affairs at a hospital. And it ended up being a terrible experience. It just was, I had a boss who was angry all the time, stressed probably, and not very supportive in my role. And I was working probably 40 hours a week, but getting paid 20 hours a week.
Oh, no.
part-time working from home, doing a consulting job. But I suffered a lot during that time when I was working at the hospital, which is so ironic because I'm working at a place where people are supposed to be healing. And I almost ended up being in the hospital.
Oh, no.
I got so stressed out that I was taking different medications for muscle pain, muscle relaxants, because I was so stressed. And finally just got to the end of my rope and just said, I can't do this anymore. But I had, meanwhile, during that time, a couple things happened. I watched a TED Talk from a woman named Patty Dabrowski, and her TED Talk was about drawing your future. So looking at your current state and drawing what that looks like, and then also what your desired state was. And I just recently posted this on LinkedIn because I just celebrated 10 years of my business.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I tagged Patty Dabrowski because I realized that, my current state, I drew a picture of it. It was me. I was like little people in boxes. Everybody's miserable. Somebody's yelling at me. And my desired state was me with people all around me. There's hearts, there's sunshine, there's a coffee mug, and things are good. And at the same time, or around that time, I had been downtown to watch this is all around TEDx. I usually went to TEDx Toronto every year. And I couldn't get tickets for the live event. So I ended up going to the Center for Social Innovation to watch it live streamed. And that is one of the first co-working spaces in Toronto. And I was amazed. I walked in and I looked around and I'm like, what is this place? Like there's people working at different desks and in couches, drinking coffee, chatting. There's meeting rooms, there's boardrooms, there's offices. And then we were meeting in kind of an auditorium room to watch the TED Talks. But I spent a lot of time that day on breaks, just wandering around and saying, this looks really cool. This is the type of place I want to work in. And so now I do. Now I decided to quit my job and talked to my husband, of course, and said, and kind of looked into this whole co-working idea of shared space, people working together in a community, not necessarily in the same jobs, but just sharing space and collaborating and enjoying each other's company. And so I found a beautiful space in Markham and quit my job and decided to take a go at it. And that's how the Village Hive started.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now you have two other locations, so I understand.
Yeah. So the Village Hive, I started 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago. And then North York opportunity came along. A landlord approached me. He had some property in North York and had heard about co-working before. His tenants were leaving and he thought, I wonder if my property, if this would work for co-working. And he reached out to a number of different co-working operators in Toronto. Actually, his sister had. And I received one of those emails and I responded and he came to visit me and he said, can you help me open up a space in my location in North York?
Wow.
So we opened up that 6 years ago. And then while we were doing that, it was during COVID too, when we first had spoken, plans, like everything was moving along smoothly. And then COVID hit, we had to shut down. And I had to actually reduce some of my space in my Markham location because I wasn't sure right then what was going to happen with rent. Was I going to have to pay rent? The landlord ended up getting subsidies, but still I had to decrease some of my space. But we kept moving on. The landlord said, no, let's keep going because when this COVID thing's over, people are going to want to get out of their homes even more so than they do now. Yeah. So we opened up the North York space, and then a space came available in his executive office suites in Midtown Toronto. And he's like, let's try it there too. So that's how our three spaces ended up opening up. I originally thought I'd be going north, like Newmarket, Aurora, Richmond Hill even, and ended up going south. So, but it's all worked really well. A lot of our members who are entrepreneurs, remote workers, people that don't really enjoy working from home or need a professional space to work because their head office is far, they don't have a head office anymore, or they're running their own business. They can use all three of our spaces. So They can be a member in Markham, but if they have a business meeting or just want to go work downtown for the day, they can use our space in Midtown Toronto as well.
Wow, I love that concept, but I'll talk a little bit more about the Village Hive and the co-working space. But, I want to go back to that moment, where you realized working in this toxic environment. I mean, first of all, I was enthralled with your younger years in terms of having these really cool jobs that kind of helped you see things from a different perspective, that there is fun out there. There are other options and alternatives rather than just maybe working at McDonald's or, what the typical teenager would apply to, so to give that sort of advice to kids listening to this, to say, you know what, there's other opportunities out there. And that's where that whole entrepreneurial mindset comes in, is like, what else can I do? What else is out there? Going through, and this is something that I've experienced many times in my corporate career, and I'm sure many others have, is having that sort of pressure on you, or being forced to do something that you don't want to do or you don't enjoy doing. Sometimes even being belittled, sometimes being left behind, sometimes being told that you're not good enough or you're not skilled enough. That hurt.
It does.
I heard those words. I lived those words. And I took it for granted that, because they're the higher power, they must be right.
I know.
And who was I to kind of argue, And then it's only after you kind of move through life and you realize, like, wait a minute, that's wrong. They shouldn't have treated me this way. I'm a human being and I have, needs and wants and rights, and nobody should be telling me what I'm good at and what I'm not good at.
Exactly.
At least in a bad light. And I think for a lot of people who do seek the entrepreneurial path, they go through this. They go through this to the point where they're beaten down, like yourself. They're beaten down and they're like, okay, now what do I do? I either stay down or I get up and I find something else. And luckily for you, you did. Luckily for you, you found a path. And how fortuitous that you happen to be watching a TED Talks and get inspired by someone who says, you don't have to be here. You don't have to be here. Not often do we take control of our lives that way. Not often, especially as a woman. There are many women out there who probably just stay in their box, stay in their corner and say, okay, well, this is what I was designed to do. You get married, you have children, and that look after your home and family, and that's it.
And I could have almost stayed in that because I mean, everybody was so proud of me that I got this director role at the hospital. Like, wow, this is like, that's amazing. And so when I even started talking about maybe leaving that job, I could see that some friends and family were like, are you crazy? Like, this is great. Like, maybe it'll end up full time. And even when I went to give my resignation to my boss, she said, really? You live like a 3-minute walk from here. Like, this is perfect for you. And I know we can't have you here we can't hire you full time yet, but we're working towards that. And the staff people that didn't want me to leave, some of the physicians I was working with, they fought for me to stay. And I said, no, to stop fighting. I don't want to stay here. Like, there's no way I want to stay here. But there was a lot of like, I can't believe you're doing this. Like, why would you ever leave such a good job? I'm like, because I'm miserable. It was
and it's a scary step to take. I know it's a scary step to take. I was in corporate as well for many, many, many years. And then when I decided to look at what else I could do, making that transition took a long time for me to decide whether I should or not, because you have the stability of the finances coming in, and that's a big part of our lives, right? And then on the other hand, you want that joy, you want that passion, you want to be able to get up in the morning and say, yes, I look forward to what I'm going to do, but there's no feeling like it in the world, and I'm sure from where you sit right now, tell us what you enjoy about being the owner of your own company. Like, there's a lot of trials and tribulations that come with being a business owner. It's not just flip the switch and go, I'm a business owner now. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, I mean, what I enjoy, like you just alluded to, like waking up and being excited to go to work instead of the Sunday night anxiety of, oh my God, I don't want to work. When's Friday? is it's so nice not to have that, because I talk to my friends that still have that working in the corporate world, and I just get so excited by my brain is going a mile a minute, and like with ideas, and I got to write I got to write them down or they're gone. And I just love being able to try new things. And some of them are crazy ideas, but I actually learned from the landlord, my business partner with the North York location. He always said, let's just try it. If it doesn't work, then we'll try something different. I'm like, oh, we can do that? I wasn't allowed to do that at the hospital or when I worked for the government. You know, it wasn't like that. So that's what I love, is just trying new things. And I also just love being around people and meeting really interesting people. So I think I have the best job in the world, really, because I spend most of my time in my Markham location because it's close to home. But I get to know my members there. I also visit my North York and my Yonge and Eglinton locations a few times a month. And I love going there and just observing, seeing what's going on, seeing the little chats that are happening with the new members in the kitchen, and just all the new collaborations that are happening, and getting caught up with my members. And I usually don't get much work done when I go to any of the locations, but that's okay. I want to know what people are doing, what they need. And like, really, it's co-working is almost like a hospitality business. So it's not, some people will call it a real estate business, like big companies like WeWork or Regis, all of these would classify themselves as real estate. But we're in the hospitality business. We are there to ensure that we're giving people the best possible experience they can have outside of their home for their work experience. So meeting people, and so I love all of that. Just
that's great.
But mostly meeting people and just trying new things.
It sounds like a place where people kind of come home to, you know, like a party or a gathering of some sort. Where, first of all, there's a sense of pride being able to come to a location that, although it's not yours, it's a place where you can show people that, you know, I'm a professional and I'm in a professional environment. I'm not working from the basement of my home, unless you're completely remote. But if you're meeting clients, if you want to show people that, you know, this is how you operate, this is how your business runs, it's really essential to that type of business. You know, and it's just if people come and see who you are and say, hey, I like how they work. I like the fun that they're having. I like the environment. You know, it has a lot to do with people being attracted to you as a business.
It does.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because somebody said to me, you guys have a lot of fun, because if you look at our Instagram account, it's all the parties going on. There's food. There's, you know, it's because we run social events, and those are all the fun things to post. But we also, you know, show people that there's different types of work that can get done in a co-working space. You can work in the open space if you like more the social environment, or you can get your own private office, but you can still come out and meet people, but you can then go back in, because so many people are on Zoom calls. There's phone booths if you need privacy for calls. And if you just want to have a business address, then you can use the space. But then you get to come in and get your mail. And people enjoy that. You know, my community manager in North York, Monica, she and the Canada Post delivery guy, they're like besties now. He comes in and he has food at our socials. And the people that come in to get mail, they always stop and chat with her for a little while. And so it's a very social environment, no matter what part of, like, if you're there full time or just popping in every once in a while.
I love the aspect of being able to bounce ideas off other people or learn, right? I mean, you could have two different sort of businesses, like at various ends of the spectrum. However, by just having that conversation, you get sparked with ideas. Just like you said, oh, I didn't know we could do that. I didn't know we could fail at it and then try something new, you know, which is the best way to do it and learn. And I think this is something that business owners need to know, that it's okay. It's okay if you mess up. Because how else are you going to get better, right? And through that failure, you kind of become stronger and you find a better way to do it.
That's right.
You know, something that is more credible to your business and your clients as well. So I would love to come and visit the Hive one day and just check it out. And maybe we can do a Hustle and Heart podcast day there. What do you think? Right? I think that would You've be got so members fun. There, and you know we can.
If you need people, there's always people looking for opportunities.
I think that would be cool. We'll talk offline, as they say.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to go back to ask you. You know, when you did make the transition from the corporate environment into your own business, what were some of the stumbling blocks that you faced? Yeah. I didn't mean that to sound funny.
Well, I bootstrapped it. So I didn't get any grants or loans or anything. And I'm grateful for that right now. I mean, there was some of that came into play, but I didn't have a bookkeeper right away. And I knew nothing about QuickBooks. Now I know QuickBooks like the back of my hand, but I wish I had invested more time in understanding how to run a business because I just basically no experience. I went from working in healthcare human resources to opening up a business. And I just opened the doors and told people what I was doing and hoped they'd come. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, yeah, I got to receive payments. Oh, yeah, I got to track these payments. So I ended up hiring a friend to do some of the bookkeeping, but I still didn't. To me, that's just like, let somebody else do it. But, you know, I've come to realize how important it is to understand every aspect of your business. Doesn't mean you have to do it yourself, but maybe invest in hiring somebody right from the beginning. And a lot of people say, but I can't afford to. And I'm dealing with this with some clients because I also work with companies who want to open up co-working spaces, who want to launch co-working spaces. So I do consulting work. And I talk to entrepreneurs all the time. They're like, I can't afford it. I can't afford to get help. And I was the same way, but somehow you need to figure out, because right from the get-go, if you get somebody to help you with your bookkeeping, with your sales and marketing, you could probably take off a lot faster and then pay that back. Right. So I think that was a stumbling block I had. Another big one that I don't really like to talk about too much but was bringing on, I'm a shiny object person sometimes. I'm better now, but I had a business partner for a short amount of time who totally took advantage of me, who basically saw me as a shining light and went, oh, she has lots of clients and I want to start my own over like little business here. And it got messy. And, you know, that was 8 years ago and it still haunts me today. But like we went separate ways, and it's funny. I think I've seen her a couple times around town, but that was a really hard lesson because I believed in her and I thought like she had me convinced until she said, I'm like snake oil. I can convince people to do anything. And I'm like, oh shit, that was me. That was me. I got convinced. So that was really hard. And it was, I felt bad because I brought other people into it. It's funny. My kids were little at the time and they're like, we never liked her anyway. They didn't right from the beginning. I should have listened to my kids.
Know the truth. Yes.
You know, these happen. And then a couple other people, you know, tried to take advantage of me, but I knew now I'm like, okay, this is their ulterior motive. Oh, I'll help you for free, but and then something else, you know. So I've learned a lot, and I've learned from my staff too. Like I have amazing staff. Monica, who's my staff in North York, she was with me just before COVID and worked with me in Markham, and now works at my North York location. And she is very like, business is business. You got to take your emotions out of it. And I am more of an emotional person. So if somebody says to me, oh, you know, can I get a discount, or can I booked an office, for example, and it's supposed to be a 48-hour cancellation time, but they let us know 2 hours before because they're sick. And I'd be like, oh, that's okay. I'll give you a credit. And Monica's like, no, this is our policy because it's easier to run your business that way. This is, if you keep doing favors, and I did that over the years, then it's, it's hard to draw the line. So.
It's hard to juggle that. You know, as a business owner just starting out, you want sales. You need clients. And the first thing they ask you is, can you give me a discount?
Yeah.
Or do I have to pay the HST on that? Or do I have to pay this? And you need the money. You want the money. And sometimes you buckle down or you buckle under and it's like, okay, fine, you know, I'll give you 50% off. But you're really not doing justice to yourself. No. And you kind of...
you've had that situation before?
All the time, every single time, you know, depending on the nature of your business as well. Yeah. But, you know, there's something to be placed on yourself in terms of your worth and your value and what you believe in and what you stand for. You know, if we were to draw a picture right now with different arms going across, you know, a circle, and the circle being the entrepreneur, you know, there's balls, so many balls that you're juggling, right? You just mentioned marketing and sales, bookkeeping, advertising, you know, keeping the lights on. What do you need to know operationally to run it? Hiring people. Yeah. The biggest one is trust. Yes. You just mentioned, if you're going to go into business with somebody else, sometimes, yes, that shiny object syndrome kicks in. It's like, oh, they sound pretty cool. Maybe I should work with them. Yeah. This has happened to me many times as well, you know? And then you think, okay, now I'm not trusting anybody, which is also not the greatest situation to be in. But there's a lot to be aware of. That's the point I'm trying to make. So if someone is watching this podcast today in terms of being a entrepreneurship 101, you know, we've just talked through it. We've just walked through that journey of, you know, how do you start and where you end up. Yeah. But I don't think you end up there and you stop. No. You keep going and you kind of encounter new situations and new roadblocks. But if you have that joy and you have that passion and you love what you're doing and you love Sunday nights because you can't wait to see what Monday morning brings, to me, I think that's priceless.
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you have a couple of kids, I think.
I do.
Yeah. And you know, they've watched mom. You know, enjoy what she's doing, and they probably ask you a ton of questions. Is like, what do you do, mom? Like, how does this work and how does that work? When they're at that pinnacle of graduating from high school or university, you know, now that you see things differently from both sides of the fence, would you kind of say to them, hey, you know what, you should start your own business? Or are you kind of still saying, you know, it's okay, go corporate, learn your lesson, and then come back?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, one of my sons is in second year university right now. And then my other son is in grade 12 and he's going to be leaving. So we're going to be empty nesters. And I better not talk about that too much or else there'll be lots of tears. But I think, you know, it really depends on the person. Depends on
maybe their personality.
My son, who's in second year university, he is doing a co-op this summer. Nice. And he's very excited about it. He's very entrepreneurial minded because he's worked at a small business and he's, I think, seen myself and my husband both running businesses. So I think for both of them, for both my sons, they kind of see that. They never seen parents in the corporate world, really. They don't remember when I was at the hospital or anything really before that, maybe. But I think I would encourage them to, you know, maybe get the corporate world because, you know, that is good for some people. Sure. You know, getting that experience at larger companies. I think as far as even my son who's doing his co-op placement, it's going to be in a small business. And I think that's great because he'll be able to do a lot more.
You learn more. Yeah.
You learn more. You get to try more things. I've had friends for like interior designers that got placements at these big, really cool companies, design companies, but they were getting coffee, going, you know, Starbucks runs and this and that. So I think it's good to see the corporate world and experience it because maybe you want to work yourself up to a bigger position there. But also have that experience of working for small businesses. I think it's good to get a mix because it's not for everybody. Some of my friends are like, I couldn't do what you do, like talking to people every day, and I'm happy with my corporate job and I don't have to think about it on weekends. But I like to think about my job. I love doing what I'm doing all the time. I don't want to just, like I said at the very beginning, waste my Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, not liking what I'm doing and then just enjoy weekends and evenings. That doesn't work for me. But
but I think you know, so sometimes I think, maybe the school system should add that as part of the curriculum before the graduates head out there, is to say, you know what, yes, go shadow at a real job. I don't
Yeah.
want to say real job, but a corporate job. And then also go shadow with a business owner so that you can learn about the hustle and heart.
Yeah.
What is this? What tickles your fancy? Is this
Yeah.
the road that you want to go to?
Mhm.
Like, let's put it out there. Let's show them that there's so much more so that they're not stuck in situations like you were, where
Mhm.
your mental health was compromised, your
Yeah.
physical health was compromised.
Yeah.
You know, like, what a horrible lesson to learn that
Mhm.
way, but you did. But it allowed you that time to look at what else is out there and make that decision that I can leave this behind because
Yeah.
I'm more important.
Exactly.
And I can find joy in something like, being my own boss and finding the right type of business that I could run.
Yeah.
And I think you have the personality for something like that. I could just see you at the Hive buzzing around, right?
Thank you. I mean, it's not always like, some days are hard, the whole being a woman of perimenopausal years too, you're
Yeah.
running a business
Mhm.
and you experience brain fog and all these new things are coming along and like, oh, I still have to run my business and I can't even think today. So I think, but what I've learned to do is just give myself a break. So I might, 1 week not feel like doing anything and I
Right.
might be sitting there staring at my computer, but
Yeah.
I know all these ups and downs,
Yeah.
I'll be fine next week
Right.
because I've got the tools.
Yeah.
to
And the
help me.
team also
And the
to help you
team.
with doing
Oh
that.
my
Yeah.
gosh, absolutely.
And that's the
team
weird
and
thing.
members to help along.
Yes.
It's incredible.
They
One
kind of
of-
lift you up and push
They
you forward.
do. And, one of my staff was sick last week and one of the members at one of our locations stepped in to help out and actually sold a
Perfect.
membership and did
There you
tours.
go.
And so
Amazing.
it's like this big, it's
Yeah.
just all about everybody's leaning on each other.
Yeah.
and
But at
helping.
least you have the affordability to do that. To say,
Yes.
you know what, today I don't feel so great.
I
I've
know.
got, aches and pains, or mentally I'm not there, or I'm
Yeah.
just exhausted, and you can step back.
Yes.
However, if you were working for someone else,
You
they're like, you
can't.
have to just grab everything that you are and just push yourself and get on that GO train
I
or
know.
wherever,
I think
or
of
sit in
teachers.
2 hours in traffic to get to your job, or
Yeah.
being a teacher where you
have to be
can't,
on
you
all
have
the
to be on
time.
call the whole time.
Yeah.
So, I hope, I'm just thinking as we're talking, I hope someone who's watching this episode of the podcast today is going to get inspired by this story. And if they're in a situation where they're being held back or held down or belittled or ridiculed
Mhm.
or, feeling like they have no way to turn, I hope they're inspired by the story to say there is a way out.
Yeah, just one small step, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is there something that, like, advice that you would give someone now that you've been through it, the heartaches that come with it or the challenges that come with it? What is the one biggest piece of learning that you've taken from your journey?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is it takes time. I recently spoke, like I said, I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs and who are recently just a few people that are just in their first year and
Mhm.
wondering, have I made a mistake? Their
Mm.
money's not coming in yet. Oh my gosh, like my husband's going to be angry because I haven't made any money this year, or my
Right.
family, and, that feeling of guilt because nothing's happened in that year. Well, a year's nothing, really. You've
Mm.
got to give it some time. I mean, you have to know when to say, okay, this is enough. But I think a year's not enough
Mm.
time. I think you've got to give it all you've got for a few years if you really believe in what you're doing, and go out there and find other people in your industry. I was really fortunate, actually, in co-working. There's actually a global co-working industry that I just stumbled upon after I'd opened up after a few months, and they have conferences. Been to a few conferences. I've spoken at the conferences, but it's all about sharing best practices. The co-working world's a very friendly world. We're not competitive.
Yes, that's right.
All the independent co-working spaces are very independent, and I find a lot of entrepreneurs, even in the same industry as you are there to help you. They're not. I think people are worried about competitors, and even people are, what's your competition? I'm like, well, I don't really have any competition.
Yeah.
We all kind of work together. So I think reaching out and talking to people in your industry and not giving up too easily. And I think, just
staying the course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I know that through COVID, there were a lot of people who got to work from home, and that's a great thing. If it's a temporary thing. I think if you, unless it's your personality as well, if you like being alone and you like to be at home minding your own business and doing your own thing, it's great. But if you have a different sort of a personality, that could kind of affect you emotionally, and you don't want to be lonely. You don't want to be home. What can you tell me about that in terms of what you do at the Hive?
Yeah. So a number of years ago, it might even have been before COVID. I'm not sure if it was before or after, but in the UK, the Minister of Health talked about this loneliness epidemic that was happening in the UK, but this is worldwide. And a lot of it is, I think, when companies started working remotely, and then COVID, people were working from home, and people being lonely was equated to smoking so many cigarettes a day. Like, it was incredible for your mental health or for your health and well-being. And I think the great thing about co-working is that there's an opportunity for you to get out and meet other people and work in a space and be surrounded by others. Because that's how, one of the reasons why I opened, not just that I didn't like the job I was at, but when I was working from home, I felt very distracted, and I'd be sitting at my kitchen table and feeling guilty about not doing the laundry or getting dinner ready, and then also, nobody there to laugh at my jokes. And, but just that feeling of I'm all by myself and all day long, every day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that come into the Hive, every time I go into one of my spaces, members will come up to me and say, thank you so much for opening this space, for bringing the Village Hive to this community, because I've been working from home and I really don't enjoy working from home, and I've been feeling lonely and I'm not meeting anybody and I'm unproductive. And so I think the co-working can really bring that for the Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. You don't have to wait till after work to see people or weekends to socialize. Like, it's, like I said, it's important to enjoy what you do every day.
Absolutely. So. And I think, in general, we're social creatures, right? We like that interaction with people. We may not want it every day, but that's the beauty of your co-working space is you can choose to do it one day, you can do it 5 days, and you can choose to stay at home if you want as well, and just, get out when you need to. Yeah. So it's good that they have that option there. And I think that's one of the things that I like about the co-working space that it offers.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You've inspired me today, Charlotte.
Oh,
and I'm so glad that you've come here to share your story. And I hope that anybody watching this episode today takes something from it. I know they will. It's an amazing story. It's an amazing journey that you have. I'm excited for you for what's next.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
I'm excited to come there and do something. And I think we will have some more conversations offline.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm inspired. So thank you so much for being our guest today. It was an incredible little time that we spent together.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. It's really great.
Absolutely.